Hello and thanks for joining us on the program. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Last week was a busy one for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, first with a visit by the Indian Foreign Minister Subramanian Jaishankar, who was in Nigeria on a brief Africa tour. He and the Nigerian Foreign Minister Yusuf Tugar co-chaired the 6th India-Nigeria Joint Commission meeting and inaugurated the 3rd edition of the Nigeria-India Business Council meeting. All of this after he gave a lecture at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Lagos on resetting the global agenda, the role of India and the Global South.
The meeting was very fruitful, at the end of which you can see that we have signed some agreements, one of which has to do with solar energy, and then of course the all-encompassing Joint Commission also, which, like I said, is something that is quite important. And you know that Nigeria and India have a lot in common.
And I'm particularly satisfied with the discussions with the Joint Commission. We will see much more cooperation in the field of green and clean growth. Secondly, Nigeria and India, we both face big health challenges. How do we make medicines, health facilities affordable and accessible? So that is also something we will be looking at. We discussed transportation. How can we work together on transportation, on other forms of energy, on security, and so on investments, on technology of various kinds. We are even looking at how do we use digital technology for cashless payments between our two countries. So yes, the answer is there will be many new things happening in the relationship. They will take into account new technologies and new capabilities in both our countries. So it's a very forward-looking relationship that we envisage.
Now, on Monday, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Nigeria, his second visit in 10 months. He met with the Nigerian President, Bola Tinubu, whom he assured of his country's companies' readiness to partner with and invest in the Nigerian economy. He told President Tinubu that American tech giants have teamed up with Nigerian partners to help meet President Tinubu's 1 million digital jobs initiative. He later met with Foreign Minister Yusuf Tugar, with whom he discussed issues of bilateral and multilateral nature. The minister says the discussions were very fruitful and a decision was made that a number of issues will be further discussed at the upcoming Nigeria-US Binational Commission in March.
They ranged from food security to agriculture, to pharmaceuticals, to security itself in the region. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu brought up the issue of Nigeria's membership and participation in the G20, as well as the United Nations Security Council.
Africa has shaped our past. It is shaping the present. It will shape our future. The United States is committed to strengthening genuine partnerships on the continent, to work to solve shared challenges, and also to deliver on the promise and the fundamental aspirations of our peoples. Nigeria, as Africa's largest country, largest economy, largest democracy, is essential to that effort. American companies are eager to partner with and invest in Nigeria's economy, particularly in the tech sector. We have tech giants that are teamed up with Nigerian partners to help meet President Tinubu's 1 million digital jobs initiative. Other companies are hard at work laying undersea cables, using satellite technology to expand access to the internet. Our tech incubators are fostering Nigeria's next startups. Our venture capital companies are working to finance them. So we want to work in partnership to help drive Nigeria's technological revolution, which is creating jobs, it's growing businesses, and it's spurring innovations in both of our countries. We very much appreciate Nigeria's leadership in ECOWAS to try to move to a return to the constitutional order and democracy in Niger after it's been disrupted. And we talked about building on the important summit that President Tinubu shared in December. We are working to support Nigeria. We're working to support our Lake Chad region partners to strengthen the capacity of their security forces in a whole variety of ways to deal with insecurity. And yes, that does go to equipment, to technology, to weapons, and we're working on that. But it also goes to many other things, including information sharing, intelligence, technical support, advice, and it goes to having a comprehensive approach that genuinely focuses on citizen security, working with local communities in partnership, demonstrating that security forces are there first and foremost to protect them and to support their needs. Nigeria offers real, clear, compelling opportunities for investors. At the same time, I think it's no secret that there remains some long-term challenges that need to be overcome to really unlock the full potential. Tackling corruption, making it easier for foreign companies to repatriate capital, these will all pull in a transformative direction and pull in transformative investment. I know that President Tinubu is focused on these challenges, and we also welcome his very bold economic reforms to unify the currency and fuel subsidies. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Mr. Blinken was in Lagos, where he commissioned the new American corner in Lekki. He highlighted the importance of the corner.
Thank you for creating the digital infrastructure that is helping to empower people across Africa. And thank you for the vision that you had and that you've now put into practice. It's a very powerful thing. And Mr. Minister, I'm grateful to you for the partnership that we have between our countries, but also for your extraordinary leadership and vision in making Nigeria a tech powerhouse. I got a little bit of an example of that just a few minutes ago, seeing some of the innovation that's taking place in this country. Back in November of 2021, I had an opportunity to come to Nigeria and to talk about building 21st century partnerships with African countries. And to move from this question about what we can do for Africa to a different question, what can we do with Africa? And I see this playing out in so many places now as we work together to meet shared challenges that no single one of us can effectively meet alone. And the bottom line, to actually deliver results for our people. Because those of us who have spent some period of time in public office, that's our responsibility. That's what we've been charged with. A lot goes into that. Promoting accountable government, strengthening security and stability, and especially expanding opportunity, which I think is at the heart of everything. Now, as we're doing that, two things are evident to me. One is the future really is with Africa. It's no secret to anyone that in the coming years, 1 in 4 inhabitants of this planet will be from this continent. And so we would ignore Africa at our peril. But we also see the incredible power in these partnerships in actually solving problems together. And when we're thinking about Africa, Nigeria has to be front and center. The largest country, the largest economy, the largest democracy. It is a natural partner for the United States. And as we're looking at what we're doing together, trying to address the climate crisis that's affecting all of us in different ways, developing artificial intelligence for good, accelerating inclusive economic growth, all of that is strengthened powerfully by one thing, and that is the tens of thousands of Americans who are here in Nigeria, working, studying, coming together with Nigerians around joint ventures, and the more than 500,000 Nigerian Americans who are such a powerful part of our own community. This place, this American corner in Lekki, will, I believe, reinforce that incredibly vibrant relationship between our countries and between our peoples. You heard it from Will. Nigeria has more American spaces than any other African country. 24 locations in 21 cities, 4,400 programs, reaching 100,000 Nigerians every year. And now, number 25. We know that there are so many other Nigerians, like each and every one of you, who want to make connections, who want to acquire skills, who may want to spend time in the United States, studying, working, engaging with people. And there are many ways to do that, but these American spaces are a big part of it. What it means is even more opportunity for Nigerians of any age, any community, to learn a little bit more about the United States, to practice English, to participate in professional development programs, trainings, to get advice on studying in the United States, all to our mutual benefit. Now, it's particularly exciting here because we are sharing this space with one of the continent's most innovative incubators, part of an American commitment to help drive digital transformation across Africa, something that the minister is working on every day. And this takes a village. It takes a village of government, of the private sector, of entrepreneurs, to build the infrastructure, to promote a supportive regulatory environment, to invest in skills, maybe the most essential thing of all, particularly for women and for young people. And I want to underscore the absolute imperative of bringing women fully into this venture and this adventure. Here's what we know. If women around the world were participating equally in the workforce, equally to men, you would add $28 trillion to the global economy. $28 trillion. Think of all the things we could do, we could resource, if we have fully empowered women in our global economy. Now, what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling is that there is growing and significant American interest here in working in Nigeria and investing in Nigeria and partnering with Nigerians. And we see many American companies, some of them present here, who are already working to help meet President Tinubu's goal of 1 million digital jobs. The world's largest subsea cable is on its way. It will reach Lagos next month. And as I've looked at the numbers, more than a quarter of American venture capital coming to Africa is coming to Nigeria.
He later sat down to a one-on-one chat with the chairman, CEO of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, where he further discussed U.S.-Nigeria relations. You can catch the interview on our website, channelstv.com, or any of our social media handles. But the week is starting with some very startling news from the military governments of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. The military junta in the three countries released a communique on Sunday announcing the withdrawal from the Economic Community of West African States, saying ECOWAS has been influenced by Western powers. He also accused ECOWAS of not providing assistance to their states in the context of their existential fight against terrorism and insecurity. ECOWAS released a statement shortly after, saying it had not received a formal notification from the three member states about their intention to withdraw from the community. ECOWAS states the procedure for withdrawal from the community, saying a member state has to give the executive secretary a year's notice in writing at the expiration of this period. Such notice is not withdrawn, such a state shall cease to be a member of the community. But within the year notice period, the member state shall continue to comply with the provisions of the treaty and shall remain bound to discharge its obligations under the treaty. Joining me now is Executive Director of the West Africa Network for Peace Building, Mr. Chukwuemeka Eze. He's in Accra, Ghana. Thank you so much for joining me on Diplomatic Channel. And I'm sure that this news, it is news to us, but for someone who's been studying and, looking at, the body language of these military heads of state, this junta leaders, it is inevitable, it was inevitable that they would come to this conclusion, wasn't it?
Well, I think those countries, apart from Guinea, they were left with zero option, as it were, because ECOWAS was very, very rigid on its normative frameworks, especially as it relates to democracy and good governance. But they also wanted a leeway, and they felt that since they had a coalition of the willing amongst the three of them, probably it is the best thing to do, which is to leave the ECOWAS commission or community. But in any case, everybody knew that at the end of the day, the language of the junta was tilting to that. But what we did not know is that it will come to a point where they will, as it were, exit fully from ECOWAS, even when they, in my opinion, understand the implication of that.
Yes, and it seemed rather odd because ECOWAS was really lenient, with these countries. They had sent, emissaries. They had sent delegations to all of the three countries at the times of their military transition. They sent delegations to speak with the junta. They tried to reason with them. They said, okay, you really need to restore civilian rule, in these countries, but they insisted that they would go on with their own plans. So ECOWAS wasn't being rigid, was it? ECOWAS was actually being lenient. And it seemed like, ECOWAS gave them such a long time, because if you look at, Burkina Faso, when the military came, Mali, and then Niger, which just happened last year, up until now, it just seemed like ECOWAS had been lenient with these countries, allowing them to make up their minds and make up the rules as they go.
Amara, the truth of the matter is that I think people should be faithful to what they sign on to. And for me, ECOWAS has done all that it should do. Number one is that there is an existing protocol on democracy and good governance, and it's a normative framework that all the heads of states and governments of the ECOWAS community signed on to. So here is ECOWAS with its own member states violating that normative framework they signed on to, which is zero tolerance to unconstitutional changes of government, no matter the circumstance. And then there is a coup d'etat in Mali, followed by Burkina, followed by Niger, and subsequently even without adding Guinea. So what will ECOWAS do? Adhere to its normative framework or fold its hands and watch the junta take us back to the military era? So ECOWAS, as far as I'm concerned, like you said, have been not just lenient, but over lenient in terms of application of its rules and procedures. But what we are seeing is a situation where there is an interplay in West Africa, as it were, for the new partition and scramble for Africa. And West African region happened to be the theater for the outplay of all those shenanigans, including the geopolitics surrounding both Russia, France, and all of that. But ECOWAS as an entity must live by its rules and regulations. Otherwise, it loses its own identity. And so when this junta were asking for leniency and time to return to military rule without even a time frame, ECOWAS needed to do what it's supposed to do, which is you can't take more than the required time that is allotted to you. And even with the extension of these time frames, these juntas still did not think that it was time to give up leadership. I was in Mali last year at a conference where the junta openly told the participants that Mali was not interested in whether it is military or democracy. What they were interested in was good governance. But on the streets of Bamako today, there is no light. The security, which was what they touted as the reason for intervention in the truncating the democracy of Mali, the security has gotten worse. In all of these countries, security has gotten worse, economy has gotten worse, politics has gotten worse. So what is left for ECOWAS other than to maintain its stand and say, return to military rule?
Perhaps you would probably support what the Nigerian president, who's the ECOWAS chair, what he said last year when the coup happened in Niger. he said all options are on the table, including the use of force. I know it caused a lot of uproar last year, but I mean, now in hindsight, do you think that that was probably an option that, he could have, that the ECOWAS could have pursued even further?
The truth of the matter is that the chair did not make those proclamations from nowhere. They were all part of ECOWAS protocols. You engage in the 3 Ds: diplomacy, dialogue, and deployment. Those were all on the table. And for goodness sake, if we could do that in the Gambia, why not in any other country? So ECOWAS will lose its relevance if it does not exist within the paraphernalia and parameters of its normative frameworks. And these were all signed on to by these heads of states and governments. So where do you blame ECOWAS? If they say all options are on the table, including, of course, dialogue, including, of course, diplomacy, why should everybody focus on deployment, which is the last option, as it were? So I agree fully that these were not invented. They were all part of existing normative frameworks within the ECOWAS protocols.
I just want to read ECOWAS communique, which has just been released. It says the attention of the ECOWAS has been drawn to a statement broadcast on the national televisions in Mali and Niger, announcing the decisions of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to withdraw from ECOWAS. ECOWAS says the ECOWAS Commission is yet to receive any direct formal notification from the 3 member states about their intention to withdraw from the community. The ECOWAS Commission is, as directed by the authority of the heads of state and government, has been working assiduously with these countries for the restoration of constitutional order. Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali remain important members of the community, and the authority remains committed to finding a negotiated solution to the political impasse. ECOWAS is saying it had no idea. It's received no formal notification. So at this point, where exactly do these countries stand in ECOWAS, and what does ECOWAS do?
As an institution, we have contacted our national offices and they confirm that those statements are correct. But it's also possible that ECOWAS may not have received those communications. So it doesn't make it right or wrong. However, I think at this point, what is important is to understand that there is that intention and that the government, as it were, the junta government of these countries are willing to leave ECOWAS. Of course, there will be consequences, both on its government and citizens, as it relates to the ECOWAS procedures. So at this moment, probably ECOWAS has not received an official copy of the memo, but we have been informed by our national offices that indeed those statements actually originated from the government of those countries.
So I suppose that even by now, even without receiving a formal notification, the mere fact that, this is out there in the public space, that these 3 countries are already withdrawing from ECOWAS, what usually would be the procedure for leaving a regional body like ECOWAS?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I am of the opinion that those statements originated from the government rather than the people. So probably it will still go through a process. And because they are not under a democratic regime, ECOWAS would discountenance those statements. Because in the first place, the regime that is issuing those statements are illegitimate. So I don't think that ECOWAS will end up suspending the people of those countries. But they will probably put more sanctions. They probably engage more in diplomacy to ensure restoration of democratic government. The junta does not have the right within the procedures of ECOWAS to make those statements. Of course, they are in charge of government, but it doesn't mean that the people of those countries have spoken. And to that extent, they remain members of the community, and continuous engagement will be pursued to ensure that they return to democratic order.
Well, I guess more negotiations ahead. We'll expect further communication from ECOWAS regarding this issue. I don't know if the military junta will be speaking any more on it, but thank you, Mr. Eze, for speaking with us on Diplomatic Channel.
My pleasure always, Amara. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching Diplomatic Channel this week. If you missed any of our episodes, you can log on to youtube.com/channelsweb. Just search for Diplomatic Channel in the playlist and catch up. My social media handles displayed on your screen are open for comments and questions. I'm Amarachi Obani. I'll see you next time.